tell me what's going on for you and how I could help.
Yeah. So, kind of getting back into restudying for the LSAT. I've taken the test twice before, but then I took about 10 months off. I started grad school in the meantime. So now, like, summer's coming, I'm starting to study for it again, hoping to improve my score. Um, Really trying to refocus on logic games. I think that's what affected me most last time. Logical reasoning, it's kind of clicks well for me. I understand that. And then reading comprehension, I'm getting a better grasp of. But the logic games, I'm looking, I guess, more resources and kind of a better way to learn those.
Sure. What's your biggest challenge with logic games right now?
So grouping games and then like hybrid
Mhm.
games. The sequencing I usually don't have much issue with. It's just the grouping. I tend to get confused with those.
And how many grouping games would you say you've done?
In total, since I started studying, probably 20 or so. I've probably taken about 9 practice tests in total. So I'm gonna kind of like refocus on that more, but I have a decent foundational understanding. I think it's just getting the practice and the routine, or even if there's like a better way of breaking down the games, that's what I'm trying to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to get into the specifics of how to break them down with you because I have many recorded video explanations for
Yeah,
nearly every game ever released. So you could just watch those.
yeah, I love your videos too.
Oh, awesome.
I kind of stumbled upon your Instagram accounts, and yeah, that's kind of what directed me to you.
Oh, great. Great. Well, if you
Yeah.
want more, go to the YouTube channel because I've got tons of video explanations for games on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually watched a few of yours. The one actually with logical reasoning helps me understand the stimuluses better, understand how to approach logical reasoning better. So that's actually helping a lot with that section. It's just the logic games I'm still kind of hitting a wall with.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. And what are you doing in terms of redoing games? Like what's your process? You do a game, it gave you trouble. What do you do next?
So usually I'll photocopy because I just have like the LSAT books. So photocopy like maybe 10 copies of like each game in the logic game section, and then I'll practice those over and over. That's what I was doing with sequencing games, and that's kind of how it started clicking. Grouping games, I think I haven't put enough effort towards yet. So I'm working on building that up right now, and then kind of rebuilding my foundation for the logical reasoning.
Cool. So, I mean, I think first thing is just get into games and do a bunch more grouping games. You said you haven't done that many. Even having done 20 is a lot, but it's also not a lot because there are a variety of types of grouping games.
Right.
And then you have several examples you could do of each.
Yeah. Yeah. And then last time, I think, because the last time I took the test, it was just starting to click with the logic games for me. Like, I think if I had an extra month just practicing those, my score would have been a little bit higher. So last time I took it, I got 148s, but all my practice tests were like mid 150s, and then my high was 159. So next test, I'm aiming for 160 is like my target score. So
Great.
yeah, I'm trying to focus logical reasoning and logic games just to help boost that.
Great. Well, the score increase you're looking for is not a huge one. It's totally realistic. And
Yeah.
games are the most improvable and perfectible section on average. So anything
Yeah.
you put in there, you're going to get big returns.
Right, and everything I'm reading, that's what I see with. Yeah, so I'm kind of working on that right now. And then I have this graduate school going on too, so that's kind of helping. It's kind of interesting how the LSAT has helped me prepare for graduate studies. They kind of goes hand in hand. And then also all the readings I'm doing through grad school is actually helping me comprehend LSAT better. So,
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. It's funny how those things tie together.
yeah. So, but that's my study schedule right now.
Great. Well, if you want more, I actually have really detailed day-by-day study plans showing you exactly what to do every single day over the course of your prep. And they start with logic games.
Okay.
So you might look into those if you want some really specific guidance on exactly what to do.
Yeah, that might help because sticking to a schedule right now, I'm just doing it randomly. I'm kind of revisiting some of my old exams that I took, seeing just kind of fresh eyes what I did wrong with those, going back if I can improve on it. I think that's really the main thing, is just the material, finding the right amount of material for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in redoing old problems and looking back at your previous mistakes. But if it's from a long, long time ago, you may have improved your understanding since then to the point where if you were to do that game now, it would go better. But what you don't want to do is waste your time or burn through practice tests. So make sure that when you're doing these problems, you're going forward with a clear plan of attack and a reason for why you're doing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's something that worries me, just using practice tests to test the games, is I don't want to waste that fresh material. For that, I guess, do you recommend using older exams?
You could. I mean, what's most important is that you have a specific purpose or goal for every single exam, or you have a plan for every single exam. So you know that, for example, exams in the 60s, you'll do those untimed to build your foundation. Exams in the 70s, you'll do as individual timed sections. And then exams in the 80s, you'll do as full-length timed exams.
Okay.
And that's arbitrary, by the way, what I just said. That I just made that up. You could totally change it. But the idea is that you have that level of specificity regarding what you choose to do.
Okay, that's what else I was going to ask. I guess the timing, like, do you recommend doing untimed sections? Because last time I was studying for it, I think I put a heavy emphasis on doing the time limit, making sure I was answering all the questions within the time. And I feel like that held me back from understanding the foundations. So I'm actually kind of revisiting some of the old tests, being able to break down the stimulus better and understand them a little bit more. But I guess the untimed, that's how you learn the foundation, right?
It's good for learning the foundation, but I also actually don't suggest doing them as full timed sections untimed. I would do them as questions by type, especially for games, and logical reasoning too, actually. Those are good to do by questions by type. And then later, when you're doing them as full sections, doing it timed.
Okay. Do you pull from like multiple exams to do that?
I mean, I guess I definitely pull from multiple. We can't get everything out of one exam, especially with games. But I would pull in my study plans. I'll pull from a set of 10 exams to do the foundational work untimed by type.
Okay, so that helps. Yeah. I guess that's kind of the main thing I'm trying to figure out now, is just finding the resources to use to help prepare me. And then, I don't want to burn through all of the tests. So.
Well, a couple of things I would suggest regarding resources is, of course, like I mentioned, the study plan will give you a lot regarding specifically what to do. Also, getting the prep tests, you could get the books, as you mentioned, but also I would suggest you get the official LSAT Prep Plus from LSAC, where you get the exams in the digital LSAT format.
Okay. So they should provide the digital now.
Yeah, so they give it to you. They have it digital. It's $99 for an entire year of access.
Okay.
You get over 60 exams, and it's the same exact format, whether you're doing digital LSAT on tablet or the online LSAT Flex. Either way, that's the software that they're laying out for you. And so if you want to simulate game day, that's the way to do it.
Okay, yeah. Have you heard anything about LSAT Flex, if that's going to continue? I know they're doing the July exam with it. I don't know if you've heard anything beyond that.
Well, they actually haven't even announced July yet, believe it or not. They've only announced they've only announced June at this point as we speak now, end of May. They've only announced, of course, May, which was completed, then June. July, I think, is pretty likely to be a flex, but they haven't decided yet. Same goes for August and anything beyond.
Yeah. Have you heard from students who've taken the May one?
I have. I've heard a lot from students about that. Some had okay experiences, some had not so good experiences. I'm hoping that it will get better with time. I'm sure it will. It can't. They'll have to learn something from what happened in May, because there were a number of issues.
Okay, yeah. I mean, different setup. It's going to change, and who knows how long it's going to last, too. So I guess that's going to factor into it. But
yeah, I expect that, like the digital LSAT rollout last year, they'll get better with each subsequent administration figuring out the tech issues and how to instruct the proctors and everything.
Yeah, makes sense. I took the first digital LSAT. I didn't have any issues, but I heard like some people were waiting like hours afterwards, just to start the exam. And
Yeah, I
Fortunately, it
mean,
was smooth for
definitely
me,
there were a number of issues administering things like that, especially when there's software or even hardware involved in that case, and training the
yeah,
proctors appropriately and just staying organized. And definitely things were far worse than they should have been, definitely unacceptable in my view.
yeah,
But they got better with the digital LSAT each time. I expect they'll get better with the Flex each time as well.
yeah. Just makes sense.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Anything
So,
else? Any other questions on your mind for today?
oh yeah, I was also going to ask. So I started kind of looking into this a little bit, but because I'm in grad school, for when I actually started applying for law school. So my undergraduate GPA was a 2.9, but right now grad school I'm getting a 4.0 through the first year. So I'm wondering if that's like something putting an addendum into how law schools weigh that.
Yeah. Addendum, I would definitely write an addendum for that. Law
Okay.
schools will consider what you write, but the 2.9 is unfortunately what the LSAC will calculate it a little bit differently based on that. So it may not be exactly 2.9, but they will not add in your master's GPA into your LSAC calculated GPA.
Right. And I was also wondering, because a lot of that for my undergraduate is my first year. I was a biology major. So that was kind of weighted. When I switched to political science my sophomore year, then I was getting like 3.5 to like 3.8 every semester. So I'm wondering if that's also something they look at and
Yeah, they
consider.
do. They do. So
Okay.
that's what that sounds like to me, is that you had an upward trend over
Mhm.
the course of undergrad. You also switched your major, you switched your focus. And so you were taking classes that didn't play to your strengths. You found something that did better. And so you adjusted. And so if freshman year was especially low, I
Mhm.
especially wouldn't worry about it quite as much.
Okay.
Everything's in the right direction, at least. I mean, the number's the number, but the
Yeah.
context adds a lot there.
Yeah. Okay. Is that something I add in like through addendums and just kind of explaining, I guess, personal letter with it?
Yeah, I would
Or
just
is
write.
personal
I
letter?
would write one addendum covering everything GPA related, and so say
Okay.
undergrad was a while ago. My master's more reflects my true abilities. I was younger back then. I also didn't major in the right thing. I didn't take the right classes. I learned
Yeah.
a lot, as demonstrated in undergrad, the upward progression, and then even more so in masters.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that helps a lot. Because, yeah, I started kind of balancing that a little bit too, figuring out looking where to apply when I start applying.
Yeah,
But I
it's
still
an
have a
important
year of
question.
grad school, so it's going to be a little while. But
Sure, sure.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's about it for today, Patrick. I'm glad we connected. Before we sign off, what would you say is the biggest insight you got from our call today?
Um, it's definitely just helping with the logic games, kind of helping me figure out what resources to use for that. I'll check out your study schedules too. I know I saw them on your website. I haven't purchased any yet, but I'm probably gonna look into doing that this week. Now
Excellent.
I'm kind of refocusing more on it.
Sure. Great. Well, please keep in touch and let me know if you need anything at
Yeah,
all as you move forward.
yeah, definitely.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.